Well, a very good morning to you all, and welcome to Views, People and News this Saturday, November 30th, 2024. My name is Judith Atim, and if you're not hearing me so well, just understand I'm battling quite a bad cold that's affecting how I talk, so you'll hear me cracking at some point in time, and I do send you my apologies in advance. Today we're talking about social media usage, and we're asking whether AI and regulation put opportunities and democracy under attack. If you've been following lots of conversations around AI, whether it's generative AI and so on, I think the world is just concerned that AI might present certain threats, but also there are opportunities for democracies, whether you're looking at it as an advanced democracy or an emerging one or a growing one. Definitely there is a concern about AI. But my producer, Stephen Bide, said, look, let's not just talk about AI alone. I wanted us to focus on AI. But he said, no, let's just broaden this and also cover social media, because we are seeing a generation of activism on our social media platforms. And also we're looking at the times we're in. The year is ending. 2025 is just around the corner, and we know it's pretty much going to be a campaign year as we head into 2026. So yes, this is definitely a timely and interesting conversation. And I am really, really pleased to be joined by this incredible gentleman to have this discussion. First is Honorable George William Nyombi Tembo, who is the Executive Director of the Uganda Communications Commission. Good morning, Honorable.
Good morning, ma'am. A team.
When was the last time you were here?
Well, close to about 7 years back, 8 years.
Haven't we been inviting you, or you've just been quite busy?
Yes, Mbite has always been contacting me. Unfortunately, whenever he has contacted me, I'll be busy. But my team members have been really interacting with you.
We've had
and,
them.
This time round, I had a space, and of course the topic was so close to my heart. This is what we are looking at very, very closely. So I said, let me come and listen.
Yeah.
Mainly listening, and maybe share some of my views on this topic, which is very, very critical, given the times in which we are today. Yeah.
So we are really happy to have you.
Thank
we
you.
Appreciate your
time.
Thank you,
Atim.
Yeah, I also have with me Hassan Kasinje, who is the former Assistant Inspector General of Police. He's now retired. He's currently a security consultant. He's also former president of Ugandans on X. Now, that bit of me being my former president on X, who voted you? How did it happen? Where was I? Biwal, were you part? I'm going to ask if you voted Afande here on my behalf. Good morning, Afande.
Good morning, Judith. How are you?
I am fine, thank you.
I'm glad to be here.
I'm actually
thank you
glad
so much for having me.
Yes.
I was last here, I think, in 2022. 2020, 2021, I was almost a regular visitor here because of COVID.
Yeah.
I remember we used to be in this room and we used to greet the other people, by putting hands here on the glass. I still have photos of that. But I'm glad. I'm glad to be here discussing this very important topic.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Last but not least.
By the way,
yes.
I am former Chief Political Commissar.
Yes.
Former Chief Political Commissar.
But with the rank, it is not former because you stay with your rank until when you die.
Wow. So you're still Chief Political
So you
Commissar.
cannot say former AIGP. I'm still AIGP.
Okay.
But it is the office that
you no longer hold.
That I no longer hold.
Okay. Do you still get a bank notification?
Which bank?
Do you still get paid?
The bank notification comes because of the office.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
All right.
Okay, so you're Chief Political Commissar.
I am former Chief Political Commissar. I'm AIGP, retired.
For life.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Retired AIGP.
Yes.
All right. All right. Okay. Thank you for the clarity.
Yeah.
And last but not least, of course, is Bernard Oloport Ewalu. He's popularly known as B-Wall on X, and I think by most of his friends. Bernard is a social media activist. But Bernard, beyond the activism, I'd also like to know what else you're into.
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that. First off, good morning to you. Good morning to everyone. Good morning to the listeners out there. It's an honor to be here. This is my first time here, as opposed to these gentlemen who have been, here back and forth. This is my first time here. What do I do? Quite a lot of things. I do a lot of digital media work, digital strategy and stuff like that. I'm a blogger, I'm a writer, and a traveler. Yeah, I travel quite a lot. I'm a storyteller. And outside of that, I have other things I do, which I will not say on radio, because this is family radio, right? And also because I lead 2 or 3 lives. One of my lives is as B-Wall, right? There are people who know me as B-Wall. But then also there are people who know me as Bernard, right? And then there are people also who know me in a different... So yeah, I do a number of things, but over and above that, social media is really my playground. Yeah, I live my life on there.
I think all 3 of you have quite sizable followings. Yeah. And sometimes I get online, especially on X, and I'm like, okay... How do you, especially when certain conversations get really heated and polarized and fragmented, and there's the noise, the flack, it takes so much courage to actually sit, even just as maybe a third party following maybe your thread or something. Like it takes quite, it's some mental work that you have to really put in, and emotional as well.
Absolutely.
Because you're like, okay, so how do you balance? How do you sometimes feel like zoning out and just saying, okay, let me just leave this space for a while? I think when we talk about social media opportunities for democracy and all, I think we also need to be mindful that we are individual users, and also how do these conversations on this spaces also impact our mental health, our... And because also if your mental health is impacted in a way, it definitely also affects the other aspects of your life of the digital space. We will definitely have that conversation at some point in time. However, I am supposed to first, Stephen is reminding me that I need to run quickly through just highlights of the week. Okay? And then you gentlemen will just pick 1 or 2 of the issues that I'll talk about, and then you just give us your comments or reactions. First, of course, it emerged in the public domain this week. There was a money heist that took place involving offshore accounts. It's estimated that over 62 billion shillings was swindled from the central bank's accounts following a hacking incident. It's alleged that this hacking took place with the support of Bank of Uganda staff, officials from the Ministry of Finance and the Accountant General's office. And although officials of the Bank of Uganda admit that the hacking actually took place, they have refuted claims that money was lost. And of course, we know that the CID, Interpol, and other security agencies and partners are engaged in investigating this rather unfortunate and scary incident. Another tragic thing happened in Sironko. There was flooding, and there were landslides in Bulambuli, and there's 30 people dead. But actually, there's an update from I think the Red Cross. Let me just run there. From Bulambuli by yesterday afternoon. The Red Cross said the total population affected was 1,540. Households affected, 220. Households which were totally destroyed by the landslides were 125. Death toll by yesterday afternoon had risen to 20 after 19 more bodies were retrieved, and one survivor unfortunately died from hospital. 22 people were injured and taken to Buluganya Health Center 3 and Muyembe Health Center 4. 750 people displaced, 534 living with relatives and neighbors, 216 people displaced to Masugu Primary School. Of course, the Red Cross is continuing with search and rescue operations. The UPDF, Uganda Police Force, local leaders and community members are supporting this search and rescue mission. Emergency shelters are being set up, and so many other things that are actually being done to help the situation. But also, back here, the Speaker of Parliament, Anita Mong, announced that she will contest for the position of the second deputy NRM chairperson, which is currently occupied by the Right Honourable Rebecca Kadaga, the former Speaker of Parliament. We will, of course, we know the two have been known to butt heads a lot, and have on several occasions actually said certain strong things against each other. From the courts of judicature, popular musician Patrick Mulwana, who is commonly known as Alien Skin, was arraigned in court on Thursday, and he was granted a 1 million shilling cash bail. He's facing charges of assault and theft of a mobile phone. So many things. At the regional level, Kenya's former deputy president, Rigathi Gachagua, was on Thursday attacked by goons in Limuru, Kiambu County. And then he was whisked away amidst chaos at a funeral that he had gone to attend. Several people were injured while his entourage was stormed and his vehicles damaged. He has since accused some people in President William Ruto's government of being behind the violence, although he did not mention any names. Gentlemen, a lot has happened. Also, the East African Community Heads of State have gathered in Arusha for the 25th anniversary of the founding of the bloc. And this morning they'll receive a progress report on the financing mechanism of the community. An agenda of the meeting tentatively shows that the heads of state will adopt the amendment to the treaty, providing that the partner states should finance the budget for the community. It also indicates that the financing will be based on an undisclosed formula that was agreed on during the 23rd summit. Several heads of state arrived in Arusha yesterday. If you're watching, guys, we are streaming on www.kfm.co.ug. You can follow this conversation live. It's actually on video. We've gone digital. So, gentlemen, a lot has happened. Just your quick thoughts on one or two areas that I mentioned. I'll start with the Honorable.
Right, I think I'll pick the Bank of Uganda hacking. Very, very unfortunate. And I've seen the conversation again on social media with a lot of narrative which shows that probably we haven't understood what actually cybersecurity means. So I'll make just a few one or two sweeping statements. There's no system that is resilient enough not to be hacked. Actually, the more critical the system, the more interest the best hackers will pick in penetrating that system. So the conversation I see is like when an organization is hacked, it's sort of a crime on part of the leaders and part of the workers. Obviously, hacking, quite in some cases, will involve insiders, because however resilient the system is, always there will be human hand and the human brain and the human face behind the system. So sometimes these work in cahoots with the hackers to compromise the integrity of the system. But there's no system that is resilient enough not to be hacked. And we should really learn to live with these. We'll be hearing about a lot of these. Actually, I know, especially in the financial sector, they really, like in my Semto language, how we say it, they die officially, fetch officer, they keep quiet, especially in the financial sector, for the obvious reason. But we know that a lot of financial institutions have suffered. The good thing, good in inverted commas, whenever you get these kind of attacks, you must learn from them to make your system even more resilient, to make your firewalls more resilient. So what we're seeing some 2-3 years back, I think banks have woken up. They are making their system more robust, their firewalls more robust, which is okay. So hackers are there. We live with them. They work for us. Some of them are on our payrolls in these organizations. So we have to be very, very, very careful. Taking cybersecurity with increased online presence, online transactions, the biggest risk we'll see cyber attacks. Actually, in the World Economic Forum, among the 5 biggest risks globally, cyber attacks is one of them. Obviously, terrorism, that's what we know, climate change, misinformation and disinformation. So in the ICT space, we have those two biggest global threats: cyber threats and the misinformation and disinformation.
Yes.
So this was very, very unfortunate. I'm sure our investigators should do a good job, but what I'll ask them to do, they investigate, they should also be learning. These unfortunate events, we should borrow from aviation. The aviation industry really wows me. For them, whenever they have an incident, when they have an accident, it's a learning process.
Yeah.
And the pointing fingers is not part of their business. Everybody from the investigative arms in the regulatory space of aviation, the manufacturers, the flight crews, everybody will try to learn from the incident. And you can only do that when you avoid unnecessary pointing of fingers, because when you point fingers, you come into this with biases. Then learning gets compromised. We should always check these cyber threats. Whenever we have a scam like this one, we must make sure that we learn from it. The police should learn from it. The intelligence should learn from it. The financial sector should learn from it. We make conclusions, we learn, and we adjust to another level. Then we move.
Thank you.
I think there is an aspect that I see we are not using very well in Uganda.
Yeah.
I was the director of Interpol for 7.5 years.
Yeah.
And Interpol really coordinates the whole world in terms of investigation of transnational and cross-border crime. Interpol has a huge program on cyber attacks, financial, fraud, and all this. And I can tell you, institutions of government should be utilizing this opportunity which we have in Interpol, because Interpol most of the time keeps on giving warning mechanisms. I am not sure whether our institutions are utilizing Interpol to be able to coordinate these warnings that are going on, the attacks, so that they can prepare for those kind of attacks. So to me, this is important. The other one, this investigation that we are going to carry out, or that is going on right now, somebody should be in Lyon right now, coordinating with the biggest people in investigations in terms of this kind of fraud. And I can tell you, they will get them. They will, and if there is any money that has been lost, I can tell you that it will be found. So I'm just sending it to you, sir.
Sure.
Because sometimes we really don't utilize these opportunities.
The capacities.
Yes.
Yeah. Interpol has really enormous capacity in this kind of crime. I know our financial intelligence agency should be also having a lot of capacity. But the most important thing is learning from these experiences. When you don't learn from these experiences, then you have lost the opportunity, because they will happen. It will happen tomorrow. It will happen the other day. But every time it happens, we must go into it with that approach of learning from these mistakes and see how to improve to avoid such incidents that are occurring again.
True.
My input though is on landslides.
Yes.
What is happening in
Eastern Uganda.
In Eastern Uganda, especially the Bugisu sub-region, is something that, first of all, I want to commiserate with the people who lost their dear ones. It is really so sad, because one incident, I think a whole family of about 5 was wiped out. The whole family was wiped out. You can see from the eyes, because we are seeing pictures, this is a perennial problem, as I put it on my X, Say this is a perennial problem, we should be able to deal with it. I think the problem is on implementation. Government comes up with very good policies. At one time, there was a relocation plan, and houses were actually constructed. in the Sebei region. There is that low area which is between Sebei and Bugisu. Okay, the houses were constructed there. You remember, even I think it was Kiriandongo,
yes,
where they even constructed some of those houses, and they wanted to relocate people. People went there after about 1 month or 2 months. People went back. So I think we need now to come up with a robust problem when we are mitigating this problem. And I think government must put like a stamp and say this is a red area, this is a red zone, which you cannot cross, because one of the duties of and mandates of government is the protection of people's lives. Yeah. And every year going there and then we going through the same thing, I think we must put something so that we don't endanger the lives of people. Otherwise, I thank the efforts of government, the institutions, the UPDF, the police, and all these institutions, Red Cross, for mitigating this problem. But we must find a long-lasting solution.
Thank you, Afande. Bernard?
Yeah, for me, first of all, like Afande, my heart goes out to the folks in Chirian, in Bulambuli. I think, as he said, this is something that has happened over and over, and something's got to give. We've got to find a lasting solution. And one of my issues is while government, might offer a certain low-lying area, a certain land for these people to be relocated to, it doesn't make sense to just go and dump them there, right? They've got to have some sense of purpose. They've got to have some livelihood. That's one. And then two, these things have happened way too many times for us to keep saying they're accidents, right? Yes, they are things that are beyond our ability in terms of these are things that nature brings upon us, but we can mitigate them. As Afande is saying, we can find a way to be better prepared, and we are always ill prepared. That's
because
unfortunate.
We do have, I think, an early warning system.
Absolutely, yeah. Yes.
That has been put in place.
Yeah, so that for me is something that we need to do better. The government needs to do better in that regard. And then the other thing, the mention of what happened in Bank of Uganda, for me, I look at it as a symptom of a bigger problem. And I could be running away with it here and running wild with it, but this is around the same time when I think Standard Chartered is thinking about exiting the industry.
The market, yes.
This is the same time when there was 500 million worth of. So if you look at it from a bigger kind of dimension, it's a symptom of what's happening in the banking sector, that for us who are not in it, we have too many questions, right? And I think while Honorable mentions very, very eloquently that there are issues of security that we need to be aware about, I think also as a people, as a nation, we need to ask ourselves tough questions, right? For example, is there something in the banking sector that needs to be addressed, right? In the sense that as a person, like an everyday person, I don't feel secure now going to any bank. That's
the same way, right? I feel. Yeah,
I feel
loss of trust.
Yes, let me just like I feel like there's a certain mistrust, that is developing in the people, and not just it's not unfounded. It's not unfounded, because all these things that are happening, a person deep in the village who is being convinced to open a bank account, which is good, is suddenly going to take 2 steps back and think, do I need to open a bank account? So that needs to be addressed from a higher level. So as I was saying, it's a symptom of a bigger problem, in my opinion.
First and foremost, our financial sector, I think, is one of the best regulated sector. Since the times of Greenland, I think really we have to give credit where it is due. Bank of Uganda really is doing a good job in regulating the financial sector. The financial sector is not easy to regulate. Even the best regulators fail. You know what happened in the U.S., the financial crisis, not only in the U.S., I mean towards a global financial crisis where all things we knew about banking nearly collapsed. It's good that those are resilient economies, they were able to get out of it. But what I wanted to comment on is the so-called exit of Standard Chartered Bank. I think we have to understand it in the right context. These multinationals realign businesses, redefine their products, redefine their strategies. I know very well that Standard Chart, I take a lot of interest in financial statements of these banks. Whenever they actually, I've built my own spreadsheet where I've been following the published accounts of these banks for the past about 15 years on my Excel sheet. Yes. And Standard Chart is one of the most profitable banks in this country. Very, very resilient. But they have defined their strategy, their global strategy. And when they did that, I think they found out that they needed, like they have said in the statement, to concentrate business somehow.
Where their strengths are.
Where the strengths are. So exiting has nothing to do with the economics in the country. By the way, for those who may want to be interested, Uganda as a country, much as we're a small economy, our macroeconomic stability is one of the most resilient in Africa. I can say this in any forum, and I know it because I deal with big investors every day. I know what they talk about Uganda. When I talk of a macroeconomic stability, we challenge big economies, all of them in Africa. I can say this without causing diplomatic issues because we are discussing economics. Yeah. When you talk of, I'm not talking about the size of the economy, I'm not talking about livelihoods, I'm not talking about wealth, but macroeconomic stability. We beat Nigeria, we beat South Africa, we beat Egypt. When I mention those three, those are the big three. When it comes to macroeconomic stability, we beat those three. At least for the last 3-4 years. So this so-called exit of Standard Chartered Bank, we have to understand it very, very well. That it's a redefinition of their strategy. All these multinational, one day or the other, they'll redefine their strategy, and you'll find yourselves as a country on the verge of their strategy. They'll go. The good thing about vacuum, economic vacuum, whenever it's created, whatever space is created, it will be filled. So people shouldn't worry at all. I know that they are changing their strategy. I don't think they are going out completely. They're just, I think they are changing strategy as pertaining to retail banking, but concentrate more on
they have a niche market,
on wealth and wealth and the corporate banking. So to me, that shouldn't be a big thing, an indicator or a signal that we are doing. Of course, as a developing country, we face a lot of challenges. We face a lot of challenges. But
Bewall, I know you want to say something, but Stephen is signaling that it's time to take a break. Let's take a break and then we come back, please. Yes.
Do we have to do it now?
We will come back and you'll pick it up from there. I'll still give you the opportunity to say what you have to. We're coming back. Very good morning. Welcome back. It is 9:35. That's 25 minutes to 10 o'clock. Time is moving quite fast. And this is still VP. And of course, we're talking about social media usage. And we're asking whether AI and regulation can put opportunities and democracy under attack. And Bewall, I'm going to give you just 1 minute before we now come back, because as you were really itching, you had something you wanted to say in response to what Tombi was saying.
Honorable seems to share, an optimistic and positive outlook towards what the economy is like. And I had to say that I absolutely, extremely disagree, because the cost of doing business in this country is just bonkers. It's just ridiculous. Inflation, interest rates, whether it's taxes and levies, whether it's currency fluctuations, energy costs, infrastructure itself, access to finance. There are so many things that people struggle with in this country. When you start a business, and I said this off air, that there are very few people in this country who, when they start the business, they pay their taxes well, they pay their NSSF well, they pay their workers well, and also make profit. It's almost impossible in this country. You have to cut corners somehow. Either you don't declare your NSSF, or you underpay your workers, or you cheat your clients. You have to, because it's the only way to survive. And so when you mention that Standard Chartered has been doing well and whatever, and then there's this exit that's coming, somebody is asking themselves the question: if these people are doing so well, why the hell are they leaving, right? Or where are they? What is going wrong to force them to leave the market. And that's and that it's not just Standard Chartered. There's a number of institutions, a number of companies, a number of organizations that have set up in this country, and unfortunately have been pushed out because somebody wants a kickback somewhere for them to continue existing, or the tax regime is just too harsh for them. And for us to kind of say that the economic climate in this country is very healthy, I don't know, man. I really don't know. I feel like we have our heads in the sand. The actual truth is it is dangerous.
Maybe just into the context, when I talk of macroeconomic stability, I'm not saying that the economics is how everything is okay. We have challenges as a developing country. We have challenges. But I'm telling you that these challenges are not only here. When you talk of cost of doing business, yes, cost of doing business is high. But you just look at it from the point of view of FDI. Why are we having a lot of foreign direct investment coming into the country? Why do we see our balance of payment improving over a period of time? All these indicate that we are going in the right direction, much as we still have a lot of challenges. Anyway, this is a big topic.
Yes,
it's very
broad. We need to actually have another on the state of the economy and whether the macroeconomic stability actually translates to better
to the person of every day.
Yes, I think that's a different conversation we can have. So we now have to shift course, of course, to social media usage and, of course, the threats and opportunities that it presents for democracy. And I'll start with you, Honorable, because there's an element to regulation here as well. We know in 2016, government banned Facebook in Uganda, for example, and that came with a lot of implications, of course, for people, especially those who are using that platform for, say, opportunities like trade and so on. You have opted, of course, to also introduce regulation, which is also impacting our freedom as citizens on how to use social media. And I think later on, the people who are affected, this is a digital person. That is, he actually, in his introduction, said, that's my playground.
Absolutely.
It is his life. And the life of so many young people, actually, people are getting their livelihoods there. It's not just for communication, but also when you look at where activism has gone to now, it's digital. It has moved from previously, if you had seen, the conversations on our social spaces were more of, oh, this is how I'm doing, how I'm dressed, it was basically about showing how people are having a good time. But now we see a generation of social media users who are socially and politically conscious and astute, and they are shifting the conversations to issues that are actually affecting Ugandans, the serious issues that actually we should be having. The terrain has dramatically shifted, and a lot of people are getting learning opportunities as well from these conversations. People, there's that awakening that is actually taking place on social spaces. So now and that is healthy for democracy, okay? That's very healthy. Regardless, there's always going to be flack, there's always going to be polarization and fragmentation, but that is also part of the discourse on governance and democracy. It comes with all that, whether you're in a digital space or you are in a physical space. So when we look at regulation, how then does this actually improve or shrink the space for these kinds of discourse, and how healthy generally is it for us as a country?
Thank you. Very wide topics.
Yes.
Democracy is double-edged. One side, it promotes freedom. The other side, obligations, responsibilities. When democracy lacks those two, it will mean chaos. And democracy was never meant to create chaos. Democracy was meant from the Magna Carta days, those who framed those basic freedom, was meant to create social cohesion, stability, and progress. So that is the starting point. Actually, I'm so excited when my brother talked of that. That's my playground. That's good. Who wants a playground that doesn't have rules? Because a playground, it means you are not playing against yourself.
Yeah.
You are playing with other people. When you are not one in the field, if we take that example of a playground, then there must be rules. There must be a referee. Otherwise, if that doesn't happen, it will be chaos. So we have to be very careful. I don't know whether the conversation is on regulation or over-regulation. Nobody wants over-regulation. Nobody wants regulation that will stifle democracy, freedoms, and liberties. Nobody wants that. But obviously, nobody wants chaos in a space as important as social media. Because what we have to know is that social media, like we said, it has morphed from showing how you have dressed, from taking pictures of your trees and
the food you're eating.
The food you are eating. Some people see in that space. That's good. That's humanity. We love ourselves. Humans love themselves. But now it has gone into serious business. Social media has gone... actually, today, I know people who have the following, even in this country, more than any broadcasting house you can talk about.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Do you take those ones as individuals? These are institutions. Some people are institutions. How can a democracy have institutions that don't play to the rules, set rules? Actually, I recall very well, I've been in this space for some time, the conversation on the internet. I remember our big brothers, the Americans more so, when they were saying that internet was holy, it shouldn't be touched, shouldn't be regulated. That was in 2010, 2011, 2013. That conversation, even in the US, has changed. As we talk of regulating AI, regulating social media, already, I just been flying from Singapore yesterday. Again, talking about AI and how it will be regulated. That's the conversation.
Yes.
All over the world, it's a global conversation. And the EU has taken lead to give us a sort of a blueprint, which you have to adopt for regulation. So I think the conversation shouldn't be whether there should be regulation or not. There's nothing that massively consumed social media and ICTs are a merit good, massively consumed. There is no service in this country or globally that is consumed by masses as ICTs, as social media. When a good or a service reaches that level, everybody picks interest. And the first person to pick interest will be the state. Because the state is there for all of us. Of course, when the state picks interest, we get worried. And genuinely so.
As we should.
Because the state can use it to stifle rights. But the issue shouldn't be, there shouldn't be regulation. No, there should be regulation. So, the comfort I want to give to our listeners is that we understand social media. We are trying to understand it even more. Whatever regulations that will come in will pass through a highly consultative process to make sure that we don't kill that's what we said in Semto, the goose that lays the golden egg. I think that's how we say it. Yes, to make sure that, again, we don't allow chaos. We shall strike a balance. But believe me, regulations will come. There's no way social media won't be regulated. Regulations will be there, and we have to play by the rules of the game. But definitely what myself I wouldn't want, especially in the regulatory space, we always make sure that when we are regulating anything in the ICT space, we must make sure we don't kill innovation. Don't kill innovation. You have to be very, very, very sure. So even when these regulations come, I'm sure they because nobody knows in the global conversation, nobody knows how social media is evolving. It will evolve. Nobody knows how it will be in the next 10 years. When we talk of AI is going to enhance the usage of social media, especially through creating bots that can do nearly anything you can think of. Obviously, we know that social media companies have algorithms that propel misinformation. We know that. And we are taking them on at a global stage. When I say we are taking them on, probably I'm the chairman of all the regulators in the world between July and July next year. So when I say we, I'm saying it in that context. We are taking them on those two, from those two angles. One, they have to contribute to the resilience of networks, because most of our networks are crowded because of social media. I can tell you in Uganda, for example, the users of WhatsApp, TikTok, far much less than the one on WhatsApp. But because TikTok is video heavy, they use more than 50% of the network capacity when it comes to data. And all that money, whatever, we don't see it coming down to help in our networks. Two, we are taking them on the issue of misinformation, propelling misinformation, disinformation, and malinformation. Of course, hate speech, they will claim that when they see it, they remove it, but also now know that they remove it after it has really gone viral. They won't remove it immediately. They are telling us that, with the usage of AI, especially when they build different bots in different languages, they will be able now to detect it immediately and remove hate speech. So these are issues which we don't have to romanticize with. When social media is propelling, because there have been misinformation even without social media, but with the social media, misinformation
has been exacerbated. Yes, it certainly does that.
When we agree that there's misinformation, it has to be fought. There is malinformation, there's disinformation, there's hate speech, there is cyberbullying. I mean, all those. If we agree they are problems, and the platform on which those problems can happen is social media, then we agree that yes, there must be regulation, but this regulation shouldn't stifle innovation, shouldn't stifle liberties, shouldn't stifle the democracy. It should be a win-win.
Very interesting. So I see how you actually underscore the duality of the concept of chaos and order. Because the Latin, I think, have a saying that out of chaos comes order, and where order exists, you will always find chaos. And like you rightly say, how do you then strike the balance without just to ensure that one does not necessarily, society does not necessarily decay or degenerate into a chaotic one. So the need for regulation is there, but at what point is it unhealthy? At what point does, when you go into, say, a complete internet shutdown, for example, at a critical time like elections, then what does that mean? We shall come to that later. I mean, that's just something for us to think about. But just your thoughts about this conversation about the need to balance freedom and obligations and so on when we engage in these spaces.
First of all, I want to thank Honorable Nyumbitembo. I think that was great. That was a great contribution. It encompasses a lot of things that we needed to know. I want also to agree, number one, that social media is here. It is here to stay.
Absolutely.
Social media has helped a lot. We all know the conventional media that we had. Sometimes it takes long to be able to get the news and to get. At one time, some of us who were born in the 60s, in the 70s and the 80s, UTV, as it used to be called, would open at 5 and would close at 11 or midnight, and then it will come. Now all that time you were shut out. But now with social media, we get to know what is happening everywhere. We even, I remember, I was PRO of the police twice.
Yeah.
There is sometimes when they call you and give us this information, and they say, I'm not going to give you the information. Sometimes it depends on who calls me. There are people who would call me. I'm giving myself an example, and I want to tell you that this is what was happening in all
you
state
had
institutions.
Power.
Yes, we
now
had power over information.
Equalized.
We were big people.
Yes.
Sometimes when you were public relations officer of the police, people would think you were next to Inspector General. I remember when the Red West, they used to sing that he was the deputy of Kare Kaihura, when there was a deputy. You understand? Now, you would even say, I don't give information so and so, I don't give information so and so. But let me tell you, if you keep quiet now with social media, first of all, they will give the information that you should have given, exact information. If they don't, they will give wrong information so that you come out of your hiding and give the right information.
People won't believe.
Yes. But number two, we know government cannot employ the young people that have come out of institutions of higher learning, of universities. Actually, I think government is consuming something like 10% of what is churned out from universities. All these people are outside, and it is a recipe for disaster if they are not gainfully employed. Now, internet and social media has come out as one of very, very great experience where young people can earn a living. Biwar is here, he's giving you testimony. I know so many young people. I was the president of Twitter, which is now X. And I can tell you so many young people that I know that have earned a living, and they are doing very, very, very well. Number two, right now, even investors you're talking about, if everybody who's doing a business, there's no way you can do business very well when you are not active on social media. So social media is very, very important. However, as the Honorable Nyombi talked about, there is sometimes misinformation. There is bullying that is taking place there. There is stalking. There are lots of things. And of course, as government, there must be some regulation. You cannot just leave it to whoever wants to do whatever they want to do. And this is chaos. I want to give an example on security aspect. You can go to the internet and manufacture a bomb. You get it?
Yes.
Those of us who have been in this, as I told you, I was in Interpol for quite a long time. There are people who plan to do terrorism. There are people who finance, and they are the actual people who do it. Okay? Now, it would take time. These are sales. People who are financing don't know who are planning. Those who are planning don't know who is going to execute. Okay? And one of the things that is, how do you form them? How do you make them? And they would transport them across borders. Countries have organized. They have organized. There is heightened security wherever you are traveling. You see it on the borders, on the airports and all that. So it's very, very difficult. It takes a long time for you. By the time you actualize that, okay, security is top of the game. But now with the internet, you can just go there within something like 30 minutes. You have your device and you go and cause harm when security has not known. So there must be regulation, and I don't think anybody will say there shouldn't be regulation. My problem is, when is this regulation? When does this regulation come on board? When does it again give people to be able to exercise? Because in a democracy, people must be able to exercise their freedom, their rights, to call upon someone who is not doing his or her work, and whether in politics, to say no, so and so is doing this. In elections, they will tell you a box like this and this and this went missing. You will not know until the election is over. But when the election is going on, somebody is putting a picture of someone taking 3, 4 ballots or something like that. So it helps in democracy. Now, the question is, in 2016, Facebook was banned. Now, Honorable Nyombi Tembo, what I expect, like from your office is, what are the milestones? What is the briefing now to say we banned Facebook because of this, and this? Now, with all these years, which is about something like 8 years, 7 years, this is what we have found out, okay? And we have put mitigation measures, okay? And so these mitigation measures, when you bring them as limitations, people will understand.
Absolutely.
Because you have been briefing them, they know what the problem is, the magnitude of the problem, and now government has come with mitigation measures. So now, there, you can limit us, but you say, okay, we are opening up, but these are the rules that each one of us must be able to play.
Absolutely.
I remember one time, I think Twitter and Facebook, they removed what is called state, I think it was called state agency of Russia.
Yes.
Of Russia.
Yeah.
They said, no, you in Russia, you're not democratic, you don't allow free speech, you don't do this and this and this. So we are not going to allow state agency to operate within Facebook and Twitter. You know what Russia did? Put them off. So no one was using Facebook. No one was using, but now they do. The question is, there are so many things you still for, so there must be a balance.
Absolutely.
There must be a balance. And this balance, then we agree that government should come up with proper measures on how you can mitigate those who are giving misinformation and all that. AI has come, and I can tell you it is helping us so much. Okay, like let me give a small example. When you want to communicate something, it goes ahead and streamlines the processes.
Gives you the structure.
The structure of the processes, and even personalizes that content. Okay, I used to wonder, whenever you are if you make a post and people begin to, then AI senses that this post is going to have so many people engaging. Now it brings a certain post from somewhere. Did you guys saw? I think it is the office to do with the is it UN? Is a UN agency that on medical or something like that. So whenever you are doing,
it keeps coming.
It keeps coming.
I think I see.
The algorithm,
that.
The algorithm picks it. Absolutely.
You want people to know what is going on. I would want to believe,
especially on pages with heavy traffic.
Exactly.
I see that coming a lot.
Exactly.
It does.
For example, now we are talking about GBV. We are in the 16 days of activism. Then now the month that is coming, we're going to be talking more about HIV/AIDS.
Absolutely.
Okay, because this is the international month that we are talking about, and we are going to see so many of these messages coming into our conversation. Who would want to stay for that? Because that is very, very, very important. AI and social media coming to help people in order to advance in medicine and education and all that. However, the message that I want to leave here is, let's go on the drawing board and look at the factors that led to the misinformation, to the hate speeches, to whatever. 7 years are enough to say these are the regulations, whether a law or something. I know they are laws. They are laws. But again, now we have to reflect on that particular social media or whatever application or what you want to call it. And then you bring it back, but you say these are the new rules of engagement.
These are the do's and
don'ts.
Yes,
and if Facebook, because government has been telling Facebook, we don't want this, we don't want this, they should see how to make sure that Ugandan Facebookers enjoy the platform, but make sure that if you say this and this and this and this is likely to be what is going to happen.
Thank you.
That is my input.
So Bernard, let me come to you. That's your playground, and so many people, young people especially, who are tech savvy, are in that space. You use social media for activism, but you also use it for your livelihood, for your other things that you do. From where you stand and from where many of your colleagues or the kind of followings that you guys have stand, what are your fears when we're talking about regulation especially?
Yeah.
And how would you prefer this is done? Because again, we definitely, I think having voices that are critical, that are dissenting to certain excesses of government is healthy for a country that actually aspires to be democratic. Democracy is a good thing for everyone. And that's why I believe we go for these elections every now and then, because we aspire to be somewhere. But when, a regulation again, like you all agree, should be something, there should be a balance. It should not necessarily kill off innovation and also stifle the political and civil liberties. What are your expectations and what are your fears?
Yeah, so first off, I will start by saying that I think in our attempt to address the issue of social media, we miss the actual point. The reason why there are all these dissenting voices online, and the reason why there seems to be all this uproar, all this activism, is because there's something that's wrong. That's the first place, right? So in my opinion, when a young person goes online to complain about something, we are focusing very much on the complaint, on the fact that the person is complaining, as opposed to what they're complaining about. So for me, while the government, while Honorable is speaking about how social media should be regulated, which we all agree on, I fear that we are not tackling the actual issue. And the actual issue, in my opinion, is, for example, service delivery. Right? If there's service delivery, what am I going to complain about?
Exactly.
There's going to be nothing. That's A. And then B, when I go online to make my complaint, as you mentioned, dissenting voices are healthy. But the one thing I can tell you confidently and for a fact is I don't think the powers that be in this country are happy about dissenting voices. And that's something that's very clear. It's as clear as daylight, right? That the reason why a person like myself, for instance, and just for context, I took part in the march to Parliament, right?
Yeah.
And I was arrested. And thrown in Luzira for a week, right? And even now, as we speak, I'm out on bail. This was July 23rd when we were arrested. We are now coming to December. I'm still on bail. Every time we go to court, the case is adjourned. The state says we are still investigating. We all know, without lying to each other, that there's no investigation that's happening, right? That's A. And then B, we all know it as daylight that the people who are involved in making noise online, the reason why they are involved in that noise making is because there's a problem that needs to be fixed. So fix that problem and stop complaining about why people are complaining. Then the other thing that I feel like I need to voice right here, right now is, again, Honorable mentions very eloquently that we need to regulate this space online, and I'm for that 100%, because things like cyberbullying, things like stalking, things like fake news, and all these things, nobody wants that, right?
Affect all of us, whether you're in government or an individual.
And me as a person who earns on that platform, I want it to be clean. I want that, right? But I'm afraid that the powers that be aren't exactly interested in that. They are more interested in making sure that you're not heard, as opposed to interested in making sure that you earn money. So for me, this conversation, for example, as a funder is saying that it's 7 years or 8 years is enough time for us to have done a proper deep dive into why Facebook was blocked and why it should be open. Why are we even having that discussion? Why are we even talking about that 7-8 years later in 2024? There is a platform that was blocked in this country. Why? Because people were expressing themselves in a language that is not accordant with what the government wants. As simple as that. So once the regime agrees that, look, we also make mistakes, right? We also make mistakes like every other regime. However, when you're out there telling us the mistakes we make, we would recommend use this language, right? Yes, tell us we're making mistakes, use this language. That's A. And then B, when people go online and you know, complain and say all these things and whatever, there are also people who are using that same platform to earn a living. So when you come and stifle the entire platform, you're not just blocking these people from speaking, but you're blocking other people from having a living. There are people whose lives depended entirely on Facebook, and now they're nowhere to be seen. They have to find a way to survive. And finally, I feel like one thing we need to embrace and agree upon is that we have all these very well-worded speeches about how, you know, we need to embrace AI, how we need to promote, you know, the use of these platforms, how we need to regulate them. But we forget to speak to ourselves and be honest with each other, that, you know, there are certain problems that we need to fix before we even deal with AI. Uganda as a country, I don't think our biggest problem is social media. Our biggest problem is service delivery, infrastructure, roads, you know, medicine in hospitals, education. Once you fix those things, I can guarantee you won't even have to worry about social media at all. You will not.
Thank you. Stephen is signaling that it's time for us to take a break. But when we return, Honorable, the platform is for you. There's so much. Yes, of course. One of the issues, does this regulation enhance or stifle civil and political liberties? And then, what is government's biggest fear when we're talking about social media regulation or digital media in generally? Is it the dissent, or is it something else that government is afraid of? We'll be back after the break. Welcome back. It's 12 minutes past 10 o'clock. This is still VPN. My name is Judith Atim. I'm your host, and we're talking about social media usage, and we're asking whether AI and regulation put opportunities and democracy under attack. Once again, my guests are Honorable George William Nyombitembo, the Executive Director of the Uganda Communications Commission, retired Assistant Inspector General of Police, Hassan Kasinje, who is currently a security consultant. He's also former President of Uganda's own X, formerly Twitter. Last but not least is Bernardo Olupot Ewalu, popularly known as B-Wall. He's a social media activist, digital entrepreneur, digital strategist. Yes. And of course, before we went to the break, we had all this. We are agreeing on certain things, but also their concerns on what is itching us. We agree that there's need for regulation of social media and digital spaces. We know the threats: disinformation, misinformation, cyberbullying, trolling, fake news. Of course, also Fande Hassan mentioned the aspect of security and terrorism and so on. But we also know the opportunities: employment, enlightenment, awakening the social consciousness of citizens, which is something that's very important. The civic and political engagements we have in these spaces are healthy for democracy. And we're asking, yes, we need regulation, but does this regulation enhance or does it stifle civic and political rights and freedoms? Also, what are the government's biggest fears about social media or digital spaces? But before we get to you, Honorable, Afande Hassan Kasinje wanted to say something.
Very quickly.
Yes.
You remember I told you about the Russian experience?
Yes.
But even when Musk took over Twitter to become X, you know, he believes in this, you know, open, you know, non-interference, absolute freedom. Yes. You can say what you want, but because of that, then later on they decided to put certain applications or certain limitations to the use of X. For example, if you post something that is injurious to health, to democracy, or whatever, or even social, if you put pornographic material, there is something that warns you before you open it. It says this post
sensitive content.
It has sensitive content. Yes. Now, by the time you open it, you are aware that
you've consented to seeing the sensitive.
Actually,
absolutely.
Let me tell you, when you put that one, what we know in the digital space is sort of promoting that content.
Yeah, it is promoting.
When you say this content has sensitive material, then you are promoting.
I was coming to that.
Yes.
Because that's where I want you to, when you were talking, then you will tell us about that. Because now, when they warn you that this has sensitive content, it means, you see, the people who came up with X or Twitter or Facebook, theirs is like unaffected freedom to be able to use. But they put mechanisms which
the onus is on you as an individual.
Absolutely, as a user.
As a user. But now government can come up on that very one. We said, okay, look here. Much as people have to open it at their own time, but in this country, if it has this and this, it is toxic. It has a negative influence on young people who are using social media, on all these. Then you put a measure. I don't know how you do it, but there are certain things that you cannot open in this country or any other country. I'll give an example, because I said I want to be very fast.
Yeah.
There is certain, for us who like sports, me and him, there is a content in terms of, let me say, videos. A game has been played now. Because we don't subscribe, we don't pay money to see those videos. They will put something very slight, and if you are going to open, they say these videos are not
available
in your country.
In your country.
Yeah. Your region,
you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
Even when that information comes, which they say you open it at your own risk, okay? We should go ahead to put certain safeguards
so you can't
that
access
you can't
it.
access it in our country, because our country has regulations over that.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Yes.
Over to you now, Honorable.
The technical capabilities are there to do anything, as far as I know, because I live with the experts every day. This is what I listen to every morning. The technical capabilities are there. And what a comfort I want to give to our listeners and my son, Bernard, here. By the way, I'm fit to be your father.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Some people don't want, they say that we are doing that.
No.
You can also adopt, in fact, adopt Bernard and
I'm very happy if he calls me his son. I'm very happy. Absolutely.
The comfort I should give you is that our experts know very well the importance of social media.
Do they?
And how, of course.
Okay.
And how productive it is. Any regulation that will come, the regulations I've looked at in other jurisdictions, they have tried to strike a balance between not killing good use of the social media.
Yes.
As opposed to killing that injurious content. A balance has to be there. But what you should know, this balance is not defined by technical people. It's defined by public policy. Public policy. And public policy is a moving target.
Absolutely, yeah. Always.
What is a public policy here on a particular matter may not be the same in Kenya, may be different in Rwanda, may be different in the US.
Because
of circumstances,
but majorly
circumstances, norms, those unwritten things you agree on as a culture, and so many other things. So the experts will give their view. We are more than ready on AI. I put up a committee, and there was a lot of noise about it. Everybody telling me, why haven't I put 20-year-olds? And I'm telling them, no, this is not about we are not doing things that create content or whatever. I'm talking about strategy. People are going to do strategy. I won't pick people from their first year at the university. If I have one which is very, very good, like the Bill Gates of this world, we know them, we look for them. I have some guys from Mbara University who is I'm going to put him on that committee. On that committee, he's very, very, very sharp. The man, he amazed me. If those are there, I've always told people, inbox me, and we see how to engage you, because we need you more than you need us. So, finally, when we out our expert opinion on these matters, public policy will define this through regulations. But for us, from the experts I lead, we are saying a balance has to be we have to walk that knife edge of saying, don't kill innovation, don't kill people's business models, don't kill people's businesses, but target misinformation, target fake news, target bullying. The regulation should go that direction. So that's the comfort I want to first give. On Facebook, a lot of conversation is taking place on this, and I don't speak for government. I'm just a small man, but what I can tell you that a lot of conversations taking place, and soon, rather than later, possibly the responsible people will make a statement.
But Honorable, 8 years is 8 years is not a short time.
No, we know.
That's almost a decade.
And yes, because where I sit, we see a lot. I know even today, I know the migration rate between Facebook and other equally even better platforms where people are doing even better than what we are doing on Facebook. We know the migration rate, which is reaching nearly 100%. People have migrated to TikTok, people have migrated to Instagram, which they were not using, people have migrated to X.
Instagram is part of Facebook.
Facebook. So, well, of course, and I think using VPN, people really have migrated. But of course, people like their space. I don't want to migrate because where a platform I wanted is not there.
Has been, I can't access it.
This is not something that has no substitute. So when we talk about 8 years, we should also have that at the background. That is 8 years, yes, because if it was something that had no substitute, possibly, but that would be another. Okay. What I'm telling you, that there's a lot of conversation on this, and something will be done about this. So the regulation, to emphasize, because now you see the working document where we're looking at, especially on AI. There are now two issues which we look at. Misuse. You have to, when you are regulating, you have to be very careful not to cause a misuse or misuse. There's misuse and the misuse. Because you can regulate and you miss the opportunity of using AI for the better of the community or of the population. That's the misuse. Then the misuse. So you have to strike a balance there. What we are regulating is it going to cause to miss a use that would have enhanced productivity, that would have propelled society to another level, or we are targeting misuse. So we have to target misuse without causing misuse that can cause. So we know all these matters, and people should be comfortable on this. Dissenting views. What's about dissenting views? To me, maybe if a politician was here, somebody would sound a politician, but now I'm talking as a leader in the ICT sector, who is worried about dissenting views. Democracy is about dissenting views. But dissenting views that are a problem are the ones draped in hate speech. Because always dissenting views which are normal dissenting views. Who has a problem with that? Actually, in this country, we have about 340 licensed radios and more than 40 TVs. I'm empowered to monitor content as a regulator, and we do it. And I didn't get some time to listen, especially those programs between 7 p.m. to about 10, because that's where political programs are. Then I also get content and I listen in to most of these radios. On Saturdays, around this time, that's political programs
everywhere.
Yes. What you hear are dissenting views. That is normal. People complaining about service delivery, very, very normal. People complaining about things that are not being done well, that's normal. I don't think anybody is about to be so much. Of course, as a politician and you are in government, you feel uncomfortable. You feel uncomfortable. You feel it would be better if somebody didn't say it. But if it's a democracy, people will say it. But where is the problem? The problem is dissenting views that will come draped in
hate speech.
Dissenting views that will come in when people try to sort of instigate civil unrest. Dissenting views that will come in with misinformation and malinformation. Those will be a concern to anybody. Those will be a concern to anybody. Otherwise, no more dissenting views. If people are not getting good medical, and especially in these countries, I've always said, my sons and you, our daughters, you are lucky and unlucky at the same time. You live in a period of what I call transported presence. All of you live in New York. End time. All of you, on a lighter note, I was looking at one of my daughter was complaining about Uganda Airline and their business class seats. I think at one time, I don't know if mention this. She's
my friend. She's a friend. She's there.
So, there's also a comment from someone here. When you tend to regulate, you end up stifling free speech. There was a time when more civil society organizations were speaking vocally about, all these irregularities and excesses of the government. Many ended up being closed. Now, government seems to be coming after young people, many of them who are in the social spaces looking for friendships, exercising their civil liberties, and they're looking for opportunities, and they're all coming to social media. So, what exactly?
I don't think that those ones there's any problem. Like I've said, if you are even dissenting views, if they are not draped in those other areas I've talked about, misinformation, hate speech,
inciting, violence,
inciting violence. Who has a problem with you? Because when my son Bernard was saying that he was arrested, I think when he was arrested,
I want you to wind up and I come to be.
I'm coming. Yeah. When he was arrested at Parliament, I don't think that had anything to do with your social media presence.
There was a link to that. There was a link because
can I be allowed to?
So you see, what plays out in the digital space also plays out in the physical space.
At your charge sheets and be sure whether this had anything to do with the content. So, with what you post, I want to give comfort to our listeners. Dissenting views are normal, and I don't think anybody has a problem with the dissenting views. What is government's biggest fear? That was your question, which I'm going to just summarize.
Okay.
It shouldn't even be government. What is society's? I want to remodel your question. It shouldn't be government. What is society's biggest fear of social media? Is misuse. Misuse. And what will be regulated is not the use of social media.
It's the misuse.
It's misuse of social media. That's what will be regulated. The proper use of social media should even be supported. It shouldn't be regulated, should be supported. I know the people in security will tell you, in intelligence, people had to spend a lot of resources to know what people are thinking about. I want to assure you, if I sat on my computer and scanned the social media, the kind of digital intelligence I collect, where I needed the 1,000 officers to go listening, people checking their dustbins to know what medicine they are taking. Now I just need to sit on my computer screen. I'll know what these young people are looking at, and we know all this, and these can be used for good. What even we call dissenting voices can be used by government to improve policy, to improve governance. Misuse,
B-Wall was honorable. We need to give B-Wall the platform. But after the break, Stephen is also putting
my goodness, why is it always me?
Welcome back from the break, and we are still continuing with our conversation. Stephen, I'm requesting we don't go into phone calls right now. Let B-Wall first talk, and then we hear from the callers. So B-Wall, I'm just giving you the mic.
So first off, there's something that honorable mentioned about having younger people as part of strategy and stuff like that, which is a very honorable thing. It's a very wonderful thing. And I think you need to embrace them more because, A, they understand these platforms more than you do, right? They're on TikTok. You may not be on TikTok, or, you know, the people around you may not be on TikTok that much. But these young people spend their time on TikTok, on Twitter, on Instagram, on Blue Sky, on all these platforms. So have more of them closer to you, right? And then secondly, one of the reasons why, you know, social media seems to be this explosive thing where everybody is running to, and now the government feels a bit threatened, is because the space for freedom of expression, right, has shrunk so much in this country. There was a time when you know, talk shows were the thing, political talk shows at that, most Saturday mornings. Do you know how many of those were banned? And when you stifle, when you gag people, when you stop people from expressing themselves physically, they're going to look for options. Absolutely. And social media gives them a very easy way out. And then the other thing, when young people go online and start to say these things and start to complain and say, you know, service delivery and yap and yada yada, they are not speaking because they hate the powers that be. This is something that's very important. We don't complain about poor service delivery because we hate the regime. Unfortunately, the regime thinks the other way. It thinks we complain about service delivery because we hate them. And that's not it. That's extremely not it. And when you know, before this show, I came in here ready to exchange punches with Honorable, but unfortunately, not even that. He seems to speak a gospel that I believe in. Things like, you know, good regulation, dissenting voices are allowed, and that's good. They speak very well, but what do? They don't do that.
Action,
so in here, I can't even fight him. He's saying what I want him to say, right? He's saying what the listeners want to hear, but what is the government doing exactly? The exact opposite. Because we're here talking about allowing people to, you know, allowing dissenting voices, right? Do you know how many people have been picked up for quote unquote insulting the president, right? A crime which is laughable, for lack of another word. It's laughable. Why? Because people have been suppressed and oppressed so much that they have nowhere to express their dissatisfaction. The only place they can express that dissatisfaction is online. And finally, according to stats from UCC, there's about 12 or 13 million Ugandans who are online. That's a massive number. That's a massive number, right? And for me, I see that as an opportunity. A very, very huge opportunity. First off, for people to find livelihood, because employment in this country is not easy to come by. It's not easy. The people who are starting businesses and failing are so many. But the internet gives you opportunities to liaise with the rest of the world. Grow your knowledge base, grow your ability, grow your expertise. But what does this government do? This government has this very, very horrible assumption that a person who's very loud online is a threat. That's and for me that's a big challenge,
but
right?
How do you make money? How do you make your livelihood?
Could you
by insulting the president?
No, but listen.
I've never seen the wall.
No, I don't. Yes,
and he has never been arrested for dissenting views.
Okay, so no, I was actually arrested. Let me just correct that. I was arrested.
When he goes to Parliament.
You were not arrested.
No. Afande, listen. I was arrested actually for having a dissenting view.
No,
because listen. The reason why we had the march to Parliament is because of the extravagance.
Yes.
Right, the corruption that is happening in the Parliament at the top echelon. What is happening? The Speaker of Parliament, close to 1,000. What was it? What was the figure?
You for that?
Yeah.
I think the marching.
No, wait.
Now the police
let me bring
how the marching was done. Maybe it was it did some few things which they were not agreeing with. The views. I don't think.
Let me bring my point home. Yes. Yeah. That look.
That was
and I want to put this especially to Afande Hassan, who is in security. That what is the worst that would happen if these young people were allowed, right, to march from wherever they are coming from, go to Parliament, say whatever they want to say, present whatever papers they want to present, and then go home. Because that was actually the idea. The idea was to show the powers that be, to show the Parliament that we are unhappy with this corruption that's happening. Nobody had intention to cause any harm. We know this regime here has the ability to stop you from doing whatever you want to do. So that's clear. Yeah. So nobody can achieve anything in that regard in terms of going to destabilize the Parliament. Nobody can do that. We know it. We just
want to put right.
Before that, Honourable. So and I also think I want to agree with Bewell to a large extent here. So we understand you need to regulate, but also we know that government also uses regulation and policy to also abuse.
Definitely.
Government abuses laws many times. I cannot. So, just the example he's giving, the law provides that a citizen can exercise the right to protest.
To protest.
And on one hand, government say, we are against corruption, we don't support corruption. And
then we come
they're adding voice to what
we are complaining about corruption, and the government is stopping us.
And there's some young men and women without even a stone.
There you go.
Yeah?
There you go.
Some with just a vest, nothing else.
Do you know how who are arrested? Who are arrested like who are robbers?
These are brutalized, like abused, psychologically tortured, locked up for a whole
week. So
someone just came out in 4 months.
Yes.
So
you say I'm the last person. I'm already the last person to blame the police on anything because when I have problems, even when I think of a problem, I run to the police. Yeah. I know sometimes the police has information which I don't have. So when they act the way they have acted, you can say. My son has come without a stone. Who knows what the police knew? I don't know. And probably you don't know even you. And he said, let me tell you, some of these these marches, whatever, you can make them with good intentions. You, the 5, the 10, the 20, other people. Right. That now police's role is to make sure we march safely.
Exactly.
Simple as that.
And they don't
simple as
They do not do that.
Well,
that's what the
I don't speak to the police.
Okay.
I just want to there's one thing which I want to put right, lest I forget.
This is also for
banning
you.
of talk shows.
Yes.
Banning of talk shows. You see, broadcasting is a highly regulated environment everywhere in the world.
Mostly in Uganda.
Oh, in Uganda.
Okay.
In Uganda.
Let the Honourable submit.
Bringing a studio environment outside, because most of these talk shows now we are taking place in bars. You can imagine. I had one taking place at Chibuye, roundabout there. There's a bar. Another one in Nakurabi, in a bar.
I went there one time.
People would jump from the counter, come on the microphone. Yes. And we are asking these people, can you bring the studio environment into that space? They were not able to. Like here, we are in an environment, I know, there's pre-listening devices. If I said something and the producer thought, no, that's content. But they couldn't. We told them, can you bring, if you can't bring the studio environment in a space, don't do broadcasting there, especially public broadcasting. Nobody banned those. Nobody banned those talk shows. Okay. Actually, talk shows moved from bars into studios.
Honourable, there's a request by someone here. My only wish is UCC could have the capacity and audacity to come out more profoundly and with guidance that is not just regulatory but also informative. Okay, so if you're talking about hate speech, cybercrime, we want to protect citizens. What are you also doing to educate
we are coming. The whole of January. The whole of January.
This should be a sustained.
I think the radios we should be celebrating.
Yes.
The whole of January. Me and my team. We are on these radios. We are even getting capacitated with other people. We'll be approaching seniors like IIGP.
I will give you
train them.
And engage a lot of people.
We want to be part of this. We want to be a part of this. Yes.
To remind the people what to do.
Their duty.
And about election period. Yes. Election periods are very exciting times.
Absolutely.
Yes.
That's why elections are highly regulated. Now, the problem with you broadcasters and social media people, you want to announce things even before they have been announced. That's why even announcing results, election results, is a process because the times are so exciting.
Honourable, I need to give Afande here some 2 minutes before we open the phone lines and take some calls because this is an interesting conversation. And Stephen is showing me I think the phone lines are just doing this.
Oh, okay.
Yes, Afande.
Yeah, just only want to say that we are talking about regulations. These regulations really should come up. People people will understand why we need to have those regulations.
Yes.
But I'm also asking about proactive measures. That something is going to happen, it continues to happen, and then when you come and say no, because this has been happening, we are stopping this and this and this. I think there should be some proactive, and then to be able to make sure that it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Now you remember, everybody. I'm now reacting to us.
Yes.
Everybody, and since he didn't talk about it, I have some security. Much as I'm retired, really, I can
you have
tell
some intel.
Yeah, everybody will want to express his or her own views, and I want to tell you that government does not shut out people who have views to bring the views. But there is a time when someone has the views, but they don't want to present the views to people who are even ready to get the views. But for them, they think that
they must present.
They must do that like the walking. Because when you walked, you remember I was saying, you guys, it is a very good concern.
Absolutely.
Corruption and all this is very, very important. But did anybody shut you from presenting your issues to the Speaker of Parliament or to anybody that could have been put there?
But this is why we were arrested. We didn't even make it that far.
No, I'm saying when you were walking, was there a request or even to say we want to present this, we are bringing it?
Oh yes, actually,
and somebody said no, you cannot bring it.
No. Look, yes.
Just wind up. I think.
There was a communication. Like we had planned. There was a lot of information online that 23rd July we are going to march. Everybody knows. Everybody knew this.
You are going to march.
Yes, to Parliament.
I am always saying. I'm always saying.
We're moving.
You have a document like this.
Yes.
And you want to present it.
Yes.
Did you, for example, approach somebody in the Parliament to say there's this document we want to present?
Oh my goodness, you don't remember the meetings that were had with police?
Okay.
You don't remember these meetings that?
I'm sorry.
Okay.
News, people and news. Only on 933 KFM.
Hi, this is Becky. Happy holidays to you and yours from all of us at 933 KFM. To you who has radio. Next time you fly from Entebbe, why don't you fly better with Emirates? In Emirates Economy, you can get a test of your destination on board with complimentary, regionally inspired meals. And as you savor each course of delicious gourmet cuisine at 40,000 feet, you can toast to new adventures with complimentary beverages. It's the perfect way to start your holiday. And of course, you can expect world-class service along every step of your journey. You get so much more in Emirates Economy. With daily flights, you can now enjoy more convenience and flexibility to over 140 destinations within the Emirates Global Network. Find out more at emirates.com.
You know what brings me joy? Watching the kids enjoy their cartoons,
Our local shows that have us laughing or guessing what's happening next.
Yeah, and sports, so we can go, whoa!
Unwrap the gift of endless entertainment with an HD decoder for 40,000 Uganda shillings, plus 1 month of DSTV Family for just 71,000 shillings. We wish you a very DSTV holiday.
DSTV Uganda,
your home of entertainment.
DSTV Uganda is regulated by Uganda Communications Commission.
This message is proudly brought to you by the Forum for Women in Democracy.
Did you know that approximately 3,000 lives in Uganda are lost every year, 8 per day, due to gender-based violence? This increases the burden of care on households as family resources are stretched to accommodate additional dependents. The budgeting for peace study by the Forum for Women in Democracy shows that investing in gender-based violence prevention can save lives and reduce suffering. Let's work together to end this silent epidemic. Act now for a violence-free Uganda. This message is brought to you by Forum for Women in Democracy in partnership with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Kingdom of the Netherlands and the Hewlett Foundation.
Health Tip brought to you by Crystal Water in partnership with Nsambia Hospital.
The lifestyle changes that I recommend for a person to improve their health are 5. Number 1, one needs to exercise regularly. Number 2, one needs to rest. Number 3, one needs to eat the right kind of foods, a form of balanced diet. Number 4, one needs to drink enough water, at least over and above 500 ml a day. And number 5, have at least annual checkup once a year.
This health tip was brought to you by Crystal Natural Mineral Water, a product of Harris International. Crystal is life.
Get more for less from Butter this November. Yes! It's Black Friday all through November. Enjoy great deals of up to 50% off on a wide range of footwear products for you and your family. Claim this offer when you make your way to a Butter store for great savings and great deals. Butter, make your way. Offer is valid while stocks last. Terms and conditions apply.
933 VPN. Views, people and news. VPN. Only on 933 KFM.
As Intel, they can identify.
We're back. Okay, it is 10:49. Time really flies. It's just 11 minutes to 11, and we're open. Yes, we're already opening our phone lines. We have a caller on the line already.
Yes.
Hello.
Hello. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for the presentation.
Thank you. May I know who you are, please?
Speaking to Gavin.
Yes. Who?
Gavin.
Gavin. Yes, Gavin.
I'm calling from Gayaza. So I just wanted to give my view on the presentation and the people that are speaking. As a youth, I feel like we've lost track of what we need to achieve, and this is read through our social media posts, whereby when I have a divergent view from the one that is for Afande Kasinja, I have to abuse him so that I can feel I'm present. I feel like even the way how we have set ourselves out to do things. For example, I'm going to talk about our demonstrations which are being stopped. You look at the demonstrations that we hold. What if we asked for Kololo airstrip, whereby we are not going to we are not going to cause chaos and commotion in the town, and then traffic, then businesses have sloped down, and some people have to also close in scare of what can be grabbed by our fellow youth. I would think that we need to focus on better things that can develop us as youth.
Thank you, Gavin.
Hello?
Yes, hello?
Hello, Sam Kaizi here.
Frank? Sam, yes, Sam.
Yeah.
Yes, please proceed.
Now, what Honorable calls hate speech, to me, is feedback. For example, someone has lost his husband for years. 18 people lost. The Prime Minister says, we have your husband. They can't produce him for 4 years. Then someone expresses anger. Is that hate? That is feedback. Another issue. On Bank of Uganda, the loss we had, which Honorable said is a learning experience. Every time, learning experience. And please, if we have a learning experience, are the investigation published so that we know where we erred, so that we know on whose account the money ended? It will never come out, just like the fires which burnt our schools. That's number 2. Number 3, Mr. Tembo was saying about us about how we are performing well, better than Nigeria, better than what? Using what parameters? He's not giving any statistics. He wants us to buy his stories like he's on Marwa.
Oh my God. Thank you, Sam. Do we have another? Just 2. Okay. Okay.
Juma is on.
Hello?
Yes, Juma is on.
Who am I talking to?
You're talking to Juma from Busega.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you for serving the nation. Mine is one. I would like Honorable to tell us how does he and with his team they handle General Moz, how he uses the social media.
No, that is personal.
Different people, the one apologizing on his behalf, but he's the son of the head of the state of the head of the state. Now, by rank, he's a leader. How do they handle him? Bye.
Okay. Thank you very much. Yes, okay, I think that's it. We don't really have a lot of time. But also, Honorable, there was also another question that came to me through WhatsApp. Let me just read it to you so that you respond to all this at a go. Okay, the issue of AI and manipulation of content, and this is in reference to the Kizza Besigye audio leaks. Well, we don't know whether they are factual or not. So as a social space regulator, there's a concern that you're nowhere in the picture to give direction, to give information, or to dispel, the use of AI in manipulating content, whether it's audio or video and so on. So it creates room for more disinformation and misinformation. People think UCC should ideally be taking lead in say, creating awareness in some of these areas, but UCC is not giving its position. Then the other issue was for the people who took part in the peaceful protests, Biwol and other young people. UCC, if for example, you post something as Honorable Nyombi Tembo on your personal account, and people read, and must they apportion that blame to the entire UCC? Because UCC seems to be doing just that. If someone is, say, an employee of this entity, of this corporation, they are acting in their individual capacity to exercise their rights online. Why must you then blame the entire organization that they work for and say, oh, this person works for organization A? You're not looking at them working in their individual capacity, but as if they are working for that organization. So there's just some clarity that is needed here. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh my goodness.
I think I will begin with that. We are quoted out of context on that. Of course, we separate a person from the organization for which they're working for. But what we are seeing, people using handles of the organization to express their personal views, when actually these are legal entities whom we license to do particular things. But again, you find a news anchor using that space to do their influencing. You have seen me, when I went to UCC, at UCCED, I've left it to the experts. I have my own handle at Nyombiruze. You see what
you
kind
separate,
of...
yes.
Yeah, I separate. There I post my things on my lodges. I express my views on that. At UCCED
is official.
I cannot start expressing my own views. It has to be official. So that's what we are saying. So feel comfortable. If you have your own handle at a team, whatever, we want to. But when you use the handle of the monitor to express views that can be also draped in hate and whatever, we shall take it upon monitor themselves, because they are using their platform to
But I think I can authoritatively say it has not happened.
Now, the leaks, what do we do to the deep fakes? We are going to start really sensitizing people about this. I've had a lot of fuss about the audio, which has
we
been
have
released.
2 minutes to for all of us to finish and get out.
I've told people, even on I said, go slow on this. Everything that is generated by AI can be verified by AI. And some of us, where we sit, I want to tell you, we have a lot of capabilities, but since this is in court,
we cannot
you'll see what will happen.
Further. Yes, we can't discuss any further.
Juma, Genomos, I've never, I follow him, he follows me. I've never seen his tweet which is wrapped in hate speech.
Really?
Hate speech? I've never.
Misogyny, sexism, and so on. You've never seen.
If you have one, you'll tell me. Sometime I've seen people agreeing with what he has tweeted.
There will always be people who agree.
That's okay.
Yeah, but
hate speech is feedback. Feedback. Well, you can give feedback without hate speech.
Yeah. No, I think he was saying, if your relative has been in jail for 4 months or 4 years,
you don't know what it is, we shall explain to you what hate speech is in detail, so that you know. Sometimes may not be knowing. Bank of Uganda, I said learning experience. Maybe you are quoting me out of the context. Definitely, I talked of macroeconomic stability, and I want to tell you, Mr. Juma, Sam, these are things which I know. I don't just talk like one of the old men.
Okay, honorable. Thank you. Give us maybe your parting shots, and we also get
the parting shots is there is no problem with regulating social media. More so if we regulate misuse. I think we should agree on this, all of us. Regulation should be directed towards misuse.
Yeah.
Good use of social media should be enhanced. If I had resources, it would even be supported by government effort, because governments has a lot to gain by seeing what people are thinking about what they are doing.
Thank you. Afande Hassan, and then we come to you.
Mine goes to young people who are on social media. I think the most important thing is to leverage on social media. Number one, to be able to know that I'm using social media and this is what I'm achieving. It has improved lives of so many people. I want to agree with the Honorable Nyombe Tembo. Number one is that the government regulating should only be to regulate the misuse of social media. Social media is here to stay, and I would like young people to express their views. Social media helps in improving even the democracy that we're talking about. But if there are things that we're talking about, misuse of hate speeches, of bullying, of whatever, those can be reduced. My only request from you, sir, is that let it not be in eternity. Let us be able to go and see